He literally like saved her the first time.
Yeah.
And then now she's him.
Kristen's addiction was back full force, except she'd exhausted the supply at the medical examiner's office and was now using Greg's computer to search for things like making crystal easy.
Oh my gosh. It's like Breaking Bad.
It was around November 2nd when Greg discovered Kristen sitting in the living room reading a love letter from Dr. Robertson. Greg snatched it away and in that moment had confirmed his suspicions about Kristen's work romance. But Greg chopped up the behavior to his wife's obvious drug problem.
Yeah.
He shredded the letter and told Kristen that he was going to expose her drug problem as well as the affair to her employees. In his mind, it was the only way to get her clean and for her to get her life back on track. But Kristen was not going to let that happen. On Sunday, November 5th, Greg woke up with one of the worst hangovers of his life. When he spoke to his brother, he told him that Kristen had made them some drinks the night before, but he didn't think he'd consumed that much alcohol. By the morning of November 6th, Greg was in bad shape because Kristen had been slipping him a cocktail of drugs over the weekend. Everything from clonazepam to oxycodone to an unspecified date. But before leaving for work that morning of the 6th, Kristen called Greg's boss and told him he wouldn't be in because he wasn't feeling well. The truth was, Greg was already likely in a coma. Around 9:30 a.m., Kristen strolled into Dr. Robertson's office and closed the door. The two reportedly had a heated, private discussion before Kristen left his office crying. Some think Kristen was maybe updating Robertson on the status of her husband's condition. So throughout the day, Kristen went between work and home a few times to make sure that Greg hadn't improved, to make sure her plan was working. And during those trips home, was believed to have administered Greg the one she knew the medical examiner's office didn't routinely test for. After one of those trips home, Kristen drove to a grocery store and purchased some soup, cold medicine, and a single red rose. When Kristen returned to the apartment that night, she began staging this scene as she placed their wedding photo under Greg's head, left a love letter from Dr. Robertson crumpled on the floor near the bed, and plucked the petals from the rose before scattering them around Greg's half-naked body. By this point, chances were Greg had already stopped breathing.
Yeah.
Then at around 9 p.m., she smoked some crystal before calling the paramedics, hysterical about finding her husband